I hear it.
Test, 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 test. How about now? How about now, Joe? Is it working? Okay.
I can't pick on him. He's not listening.
I'd like to call the meeting to order. Welcome, everyone. If you would, we'll have a moment of silence. And now we'll stand and recite the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Mayor Kim here. Councilman Rockford.
Here.
Councilman Bowen.
President.
Councilman Debbie Dopp. Here. Councilman Curtis.
Here.
City Manager Mike Sainsbury. City Attorney Brian Bailey.
Here.
Finance Director Tim Watson. Street Commissioner right there.
Here.
Building Codes Enforcement Officer Marty.
Here.
Intern Chief of Police Mike Posey.
Here.
Chief Jimmy Sutton.
Here.
Director D. Evans. You have in your packet the minutes from the regular session and 2 special sessions held during November. You want to take a few minutes to look those over.
I move to accept the minutes as presented.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, next visitors section. We have Mr. Kelly in attendance who'd like to speak. If you'd like to stand.
First thing is, Eagles Contracting has not been up there at the cemetery to fulfill their job, so I guess they broke contract with you all. Did they?
Eagles. This is in regards to Arnold Cemetery. They were supposed to pick up the wood and they did not.
Well, they're also supposed to cut it and they didn't do that either, but, anyway, the second thing is,
It's in the pictures.
I asked Mr. Sterrett there for a copy of the agreement that he made with whoever it was that bought that property up there. And he said it's gonna take a while. So, to me, it shouldn't take no more than 30 days, one way or another. I keep getting conflicting stories on that, but the pictures there I gave you, they keep undercutting that curve there, and there's already blacktopped over one grave that used to extend out through there another 3 feet. So I don't suppose everybody that want to visit that grave anyway, but it's there. The snow plow, I asked them not to plow that area up there because instead of plowing it downhill, they always plow it uphill. And when the plow goes towards the cemetery, it just creates a big hump there. And then I have to go up there every spring and dig it out. And I'm getting tired of it. When they could plow it downhill, it wouldn't be near as bad and it wouldn't be as hard on the equipment. But what I see here, I might be right or I might be wrong, but I see some favoritism going on here with those people up there. Well, I don't know who paid for that blacktopping or the construction work to do it. but I aim to find out. That's about all I got to say.
I do want to ask you a question, please.
Yeah.
Those unmarked graves. Is that something that we could work with the Historic Landmarks Commission and get some sort of a grave there? Some sort of a headstone?
Won't be able to do anything there since they blacktop over top of it. Because now whoever lives up there is just gonna go ahead and keep, going around there and undercutting it every time. That's probably just a lost cause there. I mean, like I said, nobody's gonna object to it because whoever's buried there, they don't have any relatives anyway.
Well, I know that there are a lot of unmarked graves there, but you know where they are. And there has to be additional unmarked graves up there along the edge of the cemetery.
Originally, whenever they decided to call that Reservoir Street, they took a few graves out of there and took them out to the old pork farm in Grass Run. And then they turned that, what was originally the only way a horse and buggy could get a casket up there was to follow that route. So then the city comes by and calls that Reservoir Street. So now it goes on up the hill and Reservoir Street ends right there in the center of that curve. But it actually, if you're gonna use Reservoir Street, it would have to go across the top where the water tank is. So now, however they come to interpret that as an alleyway, it's not an alleyway, it's a cemetery access road. So, need to do some thinking done there about all that. And like I say, you can't get anybody to stick with the contract, maybe I'll go get my license and become a lawnmower.
Can I speak on that?
Get me some insurance so nobody can sue the city. It's done 20 years before that, and never sued anybody.
Before you sit down, sir, some of these pictures that I see here that you presented to us are when the street was scratch coated, okay? And it wasn't completely done. And the turnaround that we have up there, which I think I mentioned to you maybe the last time you were here, was we made the turnaround up there so that we could get our plows trucks up there, turn around and shove the snow off the hill coming down instead of plowing up.
Yeah.
And that's what we done that for. And as speaking with the contract that we have with the people, I'm sorry, not the easement, I'm sorry, that we have there. I think it's, we have that in the office there. And I think if you'd run by, I think it's ready, isn't it, Nate, that we've had him to sign?
No, we're still working on the agreement. So Mr. Vestry's been out of town and we've had other things come up, but he gave us a verbal agreement to expand the area of the turnaround. And so,
You're talking about the guy that owns the hill.
yeah, the other side opposite of the cemetery.
If he keeps on stalking me, he's gonna get in big trouble. He'll stand up there and follow me around in that graveyard every time I go up there.
Well, I think he's called and talked to me about it and said, there's been threats and everything else. And I'm just, give us some friendly advice, not to escalate the situation.
Okay,
Stay on public property.
It was a glass jar sitting on my sister's grave.
Okay.
It didn't come from me and it didn't come from the
Sure.
graveyard.
Sure.
Well, I knew it came from his property, so I picked it up, threw it up there to that pile of trash. And he comes out there all red rooster and says, "Don't throw your goddamn trash over on my property." I said, "It's not our trash."
You give them back to him.
So he went up
We
there,
did.
We're good.
picked the jar up and then threw it on down in the cemetery for us. As far as I'm concerned, he's just looking for trouble. Well,
I understand.
you hold everything.
All right. Thank you, Junior.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Junior.
Mr. Kelly. And under presentations, we have Victoria Stansberry.
She told me she was going to be running a little bit late. So
There she is.
there she is. There. We're waiting on you.
You related?
Yeah.
You're on the agenda.
Evening, everybody.
Thanks for coming.
I can't. Okay, it's on now. So I'm here on behalf of Lewis County Blueprint and also Weston Cultural Center. So the Lewis County Community Foundation opened up their first round of grant making for Lewis County community projects. and applied for one of those on behalf of the cultural center to do a permanent story. So these permanent signs are similar to what you would see in a Jupiter sign at a park. Not similar to the new ones that we have around the street. The difference is that you can take what's inside and change it very easily. They're made to be swapped out. So these are called story walk signs, and that's how it started. But people, as they often do, have gotten very creative with them. So there's any number of things that you can put in there that are related to culture and art and history. So what this grant will allow us to do is purchase 16 of these signs that will be placed in 4 undetermined locations. And each location will get 4 signs with the hopes that eventually that program can grow at each one of those sites. In talking with Katrina at the library, a full set is considered 16 signs. That's what we're getting total, but thought it would be better and benefit more people if we started small locations, a smaller amount at each location. And like I said, while it is Story Walk, our goal is to present a lot of different things. We're saying that we're going to gather material from Lewis County and beyond. So we'll be featuring things like local short stories, local art, local poems, anything that we can think of in there. And so we thought it would be a nice way to show a lot of what students are already doing in class, right? In art class, and a lot of what our local artists are already doing, creating things. This would be a nice way to showcase that. And the plan is that for this first year, the program will have 3 separate installments, but those installments will change so that, for instance, if we put an installment at Willow Park, I'm just throwing something out there, nothing has been decided. If we put one at Willow Park, those will change so that eventually, if you live in that neighborhood, you will be able to see every installation without having to drive out of your neighborhood or go somewhere else if you were unable or couldn't. So the program is called Walk This Way, a journey to art appreciation and cultural discovery. The total received was $5,200. It was a grant that didn't require any match. And 2,200 of that is coming from the Lewis County Community Foundation Fund. And then there's 3,000 that we're seeing from the Larry and Margaret Brown Advised Fund. So they saw the project and liked it. And so thankfully, with much gratitude to them, they were interested in funding part of that. So are there any questions? I've been in contact with the library because I know that this was, they do the story walks and have been wanting signs. So Katrina's I talked with her throughout the writing process and also afterwards. So she'll be one of the people that helps us decide, where are the best places for these in the county. And there's a list of considerations that they give you, everything from maintenance to access as we're considering these sites. So we won't just plop them down somewhere. There'll be some thought put into if it's a good spot in terms of traffic and all of those other things.
So you're here this evening asking for council's acceptance
Correct.
of this
Mhm.
of the Cultural Center grant through the Lewis County Community Foundation.
Correct.
Questions for Victoria? Is this something you could work with maybe our art teachers in the public school to ship the art as well?
Yeah, we'd love to. And so our first, the first year, I believe we said, if I remember correctly, like I said, it's 3 showcases. 2 of those are going to be locally sourced, and then 1 will be from Lewis County and beyond, right? So it might be, I don't know, anything from national history, world art, poets from around the world. Like I said, it's exciting because there are any number of things that you could do that would be of interest to people. Like, we don't just have to be pigeonholed to one thing. If it seems that the community is especially interested in something, or if there's an event coming up, we can tailor that call for submissions and tailor that material to what's happening and what people in the area are interested in.
$5,200.
Correct. Yeah, 5,200.
I'll move to approve the grant for 5,000, to accept the grant for 5,200 with a big thank you.
It's been moved and second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
All right, wonderful. Thank you all. We'll be
Thank you
sure
so
to
much.
keep you updated.
Next on the agenda is about the Polk Creek Bridge. Nate, did you want to preface this discussion or?
Well, I think I'll just speak to it a little bit that the recently completed bridge over Polk Creek on West 4th Street, when the project was started, it was my understanding that the family had reached out maybe to Councilman Bowen about seeing that bridge named after Thomas M. Wright, who was a private in the U.S. military and U.S. Army, who was killed at Pearl Harbor. And he's believed to be the first casualty of World War II in Lewis County. And I think his mother, you said earlier, was the second Gold Star mother in Lewis County. And so we all kind of powwowed about that together and said we thought that would be an excellent thing to do. And so tomorrow, or not tomorrow, but on Wednesday, on Pearl Harbor Day, we're going to meet out there and unveil the signage and have a ceremony to do that. But this evening we have the family here because we'd like to read a proclamation denoting that bridge as the Thomas M. Wright Memorial Bridge, and honor you all and take a photo and things of that nature. So I'm turning it back over to you. Hope I did it justice.
Okay, we have prepared a proclamation. Whereas Thomas M. Wright, born on January 15th, 1920, served well all of us in the United States through his patriotism and commitment to the U.S. Army Air Corps 18th Squadron, 17th Air Base Group. And whereas Thomas M. Wright made the ultimate sacrifice with his life on December 7th, 1941, as Lewis County's first casualty of World War II at Pearl Harbor. Whereas Thomas M. Wright's sacrifice should be preserved and memorialized to serve as a constant reminder that the freedoms we enjoy have come at a great price. Now therefore, I, Kim Harrison Edwards, by virtue of the authority vested in me as mayor of the city of Weston, do hereby proclaim this monument to be known from this day forward as the private Thomas M. Wright Memorial Bridge. And I'll entertain a motion to accept the proclamation.
I'll move to accept the proclamation. I'll second.
It's been moved and second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Would the family like to say a few words too?
That was good enough for me.
And we're really appreciative for this. It's been a long time. If you want to come up, I think Becca will direct us to get a photo.
Oh, boy, I hate break the camera. Oh, boy, it's time.
I'm already breaking my, come on, get up. Oh.
Will you guys also be available at the bridge dedication?
Oh, we wouldn't miss it.
Oh, good, because the county will have-
My hair is messed
And we'll actually.
up. I want you to stand right here.
Okay.
Right here.
Get up there. I'll tell you this. Okay, I'll still keep going. You stop. Randy, go that way. Yeah. I'm sorry. It's okay. You're fine. I'm anal. Go that way. All right, now you're good.
Tall, Randy.
One more. All right.
That's it. We're good. Thank you all.
Thank you all very much. Thank you. Thank you.
We have a big one.
Yes, we're bringing kids.
My boots. All has. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you all very much. Okay, next, reports of city boards, commissions, and outside agencies. The cemetery board will be meeting in January on the 9th. The landmarks commission, we're meeting this week, December the 8th at 5. The planning commission is next week, December the 14th. Parks and Rec, Friday, December the 16th at 2 p.m. And the EDA meeting, it's listed as December 28th, but it's December the 7th at 5 p.m. Board of Zoning Appeals, December the 13th at 6. Code Appeals, the 15th at 6. And we still have one position available on the Board of Zoning Appeals. And we do have a position open on the Weston Housing Authority. And they haven't had a meeting yet, but they'll be making a recommendation.
I think we also have one on the planning commission as well, recent resignation.
We're ready for the sanitary board report.
I'll just kind of hit a couple of the highlights. Senate Growth that's doing the sludge removal down at the treatment plant had to halt their removal for just a little while. The centrifuge had to be sent out for repair, so they're not removing anything last week or this week. It should be back in for operation the week after that. The project or phase 2 project for sludge removal, we're still working on the financials for that will accompany the PER and go to IGDC, I believe January 10th. If all the information is in time to go for that one. The guys down at the plant, this actually been a pretty busy month for them. They've actually been helping several entities around town as much as the customers. We helped over at United Bank extend their clean out. We assisted over behind the asylum with a clog that they had there, some repairs at Stonewall Jackson. And we had to get down to Jane Lou and help them back out one of their stations as well. Other than that, pretty much the normal stuff for them there. And in the office, I've been busy with the financials and the accountant getting ready for that project, and everything else has been kind of business as usual. We are going to have a meeting on December the 12th with a group from the resort who are wanting the sanitary board to take over their sewer system. It's not in the best of shape and they're not wanting to be in the sewer business. So they're coming to talk to us about what our thoughts on that are. We'll have a pre-meeting on Friday just to kind of get our ducks in a row. Any of you all that want to come to either of those meetings, the one on Friday is at 2 at the sanitary board office, and the one on Monday with the actual resort people, and engineering and like I said, any of you all that want to come is at 10 o'clock on Monday.
The more education, the better.
The more education, the better. Yes. Other than that, our regular meeting is at 4:30 on Monday evening, and you're always invited to that one as well. If you have any questions, I'll be glad to answer them.
That's the 12th, right?
That's the 12th.
So the meeting that you're having is that day with the resort, correct?
Yes.
You did invite the commission as well. too.
Yes. I sent an email to Cindy and sent the information to her and asked her to pass that on to them. Yes.
And that's at 10?
And
Where is that?
the sanitary board office.
That's what I thought. Okay, thank you. I know you said that, but I didn't
That's okay.
catch it.
Questions for Dee? Councilman Curtis, did you have a question?
Sure sounded
Is
like you
that
did.
something that council will ultimately need to vote on?
Regarding the expansion of the system? I think so. I guess if it makes it that far where we're entertaining, if the
makes it that
sanitary
far,
board is
yeah.
entertaining the addition of it, in order to ratify, that's my understanding, that would come to council.
Bring it back.
So you take it over and it's such disarray.
That would all have to be in those negotiations, really. Yeah. And because it's in the county, I'm sure that's something that, the county would most likely be asked to participate with as well, so. Just like the project out Route 33. That one's gonna involve the county as well, so. If both of those projects were to come to fruition, more than, we would be much, much more out of the city of Weston, our customer base, than it would be in the city of Weston.
If you could eke out time to attend either of the meetings, it would really be worth your while.
And if not, we'll certainly bring back all the information we can to you and what happens and keep you updated, but I think Nate will be there Monday.
Yep.
So,
Friday too?
I'll be down in New Orleans.
Okay.
thank you.
Thank you, Dee. Okay, moving on to finance report.
I did not realize that I did not get the ARPA. This is from October, we have not got the November one. But as you can see at the bottom, that's what we looked now in November. This is ARPA funding? Yes. Thank you. I'm done. So that's our ending balance. That was for October, but we still need to take out the November because we've not got the funds statement yet. And the check was written out to Raven Rock for, statement back yet, or $16,640 to Raven Rock. Okay, so that needs to come off there. And it should be coming. Where are these with the cameras yet? Did we get an invoice yet?
We haven't, no.
And I need to, ask permission once again to move $750 from the general fund, over to the vacant structure fund, to, $750 for, that. And we'll put it in the general fund, we need to move it over. To the vacant structure. How much was it? 750? I'll move to approve the moving the 750 from one fund to the appropriate fund.
There a second?
I'll second.
It's been moved and second to move 750 to the vacant structures fund.
We just put it in the general fund when we flag that. Right.
Okay.
Well, it's nice that
Any
we
discussion?
know how much.
Vacant structure. How's the response on that? We get much feedback, or it doesn't sound like a lot of funds are coming from that.
Let's say we've had a mixed response on it.
We've made, since July, $5,875. More than what I anticipated.
Okay.
But
you
if
have
there's
a-
an issue, if there's an issue, like we have to put a roof on a house or something, or tear something down, those funds could be utilized for that.
My understanding.
Thank you.
We have a motion and a second on the floor to approve the transfer of $750 to the vacant structures fund. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
I had put on the list of fees. I'm still down, and as of now, I'm down $6,079.30.
How much was that?
$6,079.30.
Okay.
I missed how much.
We've also got on our agenda that we would like to have a transfer from the stormwater fund approved to the general fund. This is to cover last year's expenses. So the way we've done this is when Mike and the street department do any kind of stormwater work, we track those separately in our general fund. We go ahead and expend the money from the general fund. And then at the end of the year, we're going to provide you a report. This details all the expenses and ask you guys to approve those expenditures from the stormwater fund to be reimbursed that general fund to cover those costs. And so we have that if you want to give that to him, Susie. We had to update that because we found today as we were going through some lines, we'd squirreled some expenses away in a street department line that shouldn't have been there.
Does this go back in the street department fund,
It'll just go back into the general fund.
general fund?
Mhm.
Did you get a copy of the?
Yeah.
How do we do that with the budget? It'll be reflected in.
Well, yeah,
Right.
just so everybody's clear, we have a separate, these aren't coming out of the street department's budget lines. We have a separate stormwater line in the general fund that we charge these to.
Okay.
This, the monies that we found that were squirreled away had been charged to a street department supply line that shouldn't have been. So when we found that, we said, let's move those back into that stormwater line where they should be, so they can be properly tracked and audited. But then the monies that what we're asking for, since we expended those in line 805 of the general fund for stormwater, we want to take that separate stormwater fund that we've been collecting money on and transfer that amount to reimburse the general fund's expenses. Does that make sense?
Yep.
I think if I'm reading my report right, we're asking for a $23,755.71 to be transferred from the stormwater fund to the general fund to cover those FY22 costs.
I'll move to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and second to transfer $23,755.71 from the stormwater fund to general fund. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. You don't? And you have the street department report in your packet. You have any questions?
You guys mind?
Nothing on it.
Page 42 and 43.
Oh, street department, yeah, I have it.
Okay, got it.
Gotta get down there looking at it. I'd like to talk to you about it a little bit about it. Okay, please.
The new Christmas banners look nice. The new Christmas banners look nice. Really cool that they were designed by a local student of Lewis County High School.
Go ahead.
Okay, just letting you know, probably about the first 5 or 6 lines going down through there. That's on my report. Next month, I will break it all down to you guys and let you know exactly what we've done. We went through, we're not clear through them yet. We got just one more truck to go, but we have totally went through those trucks over there. Ball joints, tie rod ends, upper ball joints, lower ball joints, tail lights, pitman arms, upper control arms. And just letting you know this, the gentleman that we just hired recently that came on board, he's doing the work for us, and we're also doing it in-house now, I'm sorry. On one of the trucks would be number 6, just not counting all the brakes and stuff and the calipers and the ball joints. We had an estimate of $1,500 and $1,507 to fix that truck, not counting the ball joints and all those axle joints and all that. So I've got right now less than $1,000 in labor in fixing about 4 trucks. Just letting you know that. Next month, when we do this, I'll break everything down to you guys and let you see what we've done and what we've put on those trucks. The other thing is clear to the back where we went down to the Deanville property. We are getting ready to put in electrical system. Electrical system down there needs to be upgraded. Marty and Tyler are going to be putting that in. Tyler's going to get some of his electrical experience that he's going to school for to learn to put that in with Marty. And then we're also going to put in a new gas line. We do not have gas there at all. So we're putting those in. We are going to store the 2 trucks that we have, the vat truck and the sweeper in there to get them out of the cold. That's about all I have, unless you all got any questions.
Would it be out of the way to ask that we maintain that road since we're utilizing it?
You mean as-
Fort Nash Road.
You mean as like potholes or whatever such as that? Yeah, when we get using that quite regularly, I think that would be, I know it's out of the city limits, probably might have to get that approved through you guys or whatever, but yeah, I think we need to at least work on some of it if there is problems there. I don't know how Dee done it in the other time whenever you guys used it, but I think that's probably what we need to do is work on the road.
Well, you guys are doing a great job and we see you all over town and
We
you're
do.
always working and making things look better. We appreciate it.
No, thank you.
Residents love seeing the street sweeper. I think that's their favorite.
Thanks for taking care of that ditch on Spring Street.
Gotcha.
Residents are very happy with it. Some were afraid that with snow and end up sideways. They're happy about that.
So next year for the Christmas parade, we were thinking that maybe the Grinch could go last driving the street sweeper. Yeah.
Well, let me let you in a little bit of secret about the street sweeper.
Okay,
The Vatter truck does not take CDLs. So we can start using it. Everybody can.
Right.
The other truck takes CDLs. And I've spoke with Nate on this. We are working to try to get all of our gentlemen with CDLs and also working with Jimmy to get some of his guys with CDLs. So
That's a good
that's
idea.
in progress and probably not going to go clear through until probably after the first year, but we will have everybody, as many as we can, get CDLs.
thank you. It's a great idea.
Questions for Mike?
Thank you. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Okay, police department report.
I'm just going to speak about them just a little bit, if that's okay. Mike's done a tremendous job, I think, keeping the department together. We've only had 3 officers for the majority of the month, and so that's left some shifts uncovered. And he's done the best he can to mitigate those damages, for lack of a better word, to the public. I think he's been working with the sheriff department to get some support there, at least them knowing that we're not available, so that they can respond to those calls. But we've had a couple meetings, right, Mike, with the potential officers this past month, and it's a tough process when you have to have civil service requirements met, certification requirements in the state of West Virginia. So it's just difficult. If we recruit, just for example, if we recruit an officer from another state, or we have an officer from another state move into this area, they can't work a shift by themselves until they're certified through the state. And that training only comes about every couple of months. So the next available opportunity is March. So you don't have somebody who's an able-bodied police officer certified in West Virginia. They really can't start off and do much for you outside of shadow and do some basic tasks like that. So that's the challenge when it comes to ramping up your police force very quickly. So I think a lesson learned here, and we knew this was coming. We were doing the best we could trying to get here, but it's very imperative to always try to have a fully staffed police department to be able to weather these kinds of challenges from a staffing standpoint. But the officers we have are doing the best they can, and been really appreciative of them last month. Anything else you want to add?
No, that's pretty much sums it up. We've had some pretty serious calls this past month. Several pennies.
Question?
I appreciate the job that you're doing.
Thank you.
It's doing a good job. Thanks.
Thank you. We'll move down to fire department report.
Has this been your busiest November? That's what I thought. Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah, now I'm looking outside, yeah. This week, we'll do that, so it should only be down for a couple of days.
We appreciate you guys. Thank you.
Next, building code zoning report.
I had several comments from citizens about the, I guess you tagged the building by Ember Arts.
I know Herb was asking the other day too. Where we stand with that now is we had a waiting period after we obtained the administrative warning, or administrative warrant. And we got through that waiting period, and then we made entry and looked through the building and condemned it. So a few days ago, I issued a corrective order, and that is now sent out to Hawaii via certified mail. Legally, we have to give them time to receive that and time for an appeal and time for him to take action if he wants to take action. So we're in a waiting period on that right now.
How long do we have to wait for that?
They have 20 days to appeal, 30 days to make action on it themselves if they're going to. Chances are he's probably going to refuse the letter because he refused the last one.
And just to be clear, the building was initially looked at as a vacant structure.
which is different than condemning the building. And during the process that Marty and Jimmy and Mike did, Marty looked at the place and looked inside and said, okay, this place needs condemned. It needs taken down. So this wasn't we're going in there to condemn the building. This was, hey, it's vacant. We
Sure.
got to see how to fix it up. And
Sure.
a byproduct of that was they looked at it and decided, or Marty looked at it and decided this just needs condemned in his judgment.
Thank you for that.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome.
Our timeline to extend funds under the grant.
Well, it's supposed to be a year, but it can't be stretched to 18 months.
Okay. Questions for Marty?
What's next? Step back, and after the 50 days, it sounds like.
Well, it's about like 27 days or something now. But that we, if he doesn't take action, we can, if we so choose to.
Big dollars. I think that's the question. You know, we've got to decide. One, I think we've got to give the process its due and let Mr. King have a chance to remedy his situation, right? We've condemned it. We haven't demolished it or said we're going to demolish it. We've just simply said that it's not safe for human habitation. So we've closed it down. We've tagged it. We've said, Mr. King, you need to do something here to remedy this situation. But at that point, I think once we reach that, if he doesn't respond back with some kind of timeline or take out a building permit or anything of that nature, then it'll be up to us to decide what course of action we want to take. And I think from Marty's report, it sounds like it needs to be remedied. And we've got some issues there, right? Where we've got a river and a building that's beside of it and things of that nature. So, but going on past experience with Time Bistro, we're looking $150,000. And so I think
If it's all asbestos.
Yep, depending on how it's treated and how much material's in there and everything else. So we'll just have some bridges there and decisions we'll have to make. And we currently don't have any kind of capital like that in our budget allocated where we could take that down without some kind of official action where we reallocate funds or something of that nature, or use a grant program or something like that. And we'll talk about the grants a little bit later on here when we get to that. So the REAP, I'll just mention the REAP real quick, is a federal dollar program. And so that has some implications for us when we've spent ARPA money. And if we turn around and spend REAP money in the same fiscal year, we're going to run into some single audit thresholds there that we've been trying to avoid. And those carry, as you probably know, they're expensive and they're difficult for staff to manage. So we're trying to, not avoid them because we're scared of them necessarily, but just try to avoid the process if we can, stay under that limit.
But we were awarded this for dilapidated buildings, the REAP grant.
We were, yeah.
All of the federal dollars spent in the fiscal year.
Because REAP is federal.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
As long as it's coming from the federal level.
Right. It all adds up. Not every community struggles with that. So a place like Parkersburg is going to get so many federal dollars a year. They're single audited every time, so that they're used to it. Community of our size doesn't really ever have to worry about that, except for in this chance here where we've got so many millions of dollars, and we're kind of fortunate in the sense that we have enough money and enough time to stretch those dollars expended out over a long enough horizon period to try to avoid that. But we may have to bite the bullet and say we're going to try to take, we've got money we need to spend. We may have to take the single audit, and in that case, we may want to spend as much as we can to only do it once. But so those are the things we're kind of hashing out. I think there's one more program out there, the RAISE program, that we felt that this building may fall within that. That was another pot of money that has been expressed that Weston was in contention for. We haven't heard anything more back from that, and that was a conversation we had in June.
that federal money too?
And I was just Googling. I think it is. I think it's a federal earmark from Mansion side. So,
Right.
so that those are the kind of things we're kind of we're letting this process play out in a sense because it's do that, but we also want to give ourselves a little breathing room here to try to figure out how we can do this without the least amount of difficulty for all of our staff and other programs.
Thank you. Thank you, Marty.
The attorney's report.
I just want to reiterate that we have the code stuff. I think we're going to try to do 2 more meetings this month, the 12th and the 19th. Then take a break until January sometime. I don't know. It's whatever you all want to do.
12th and then
The 9, okay.
I can't do it the 12th, but I.
I'll work on your all schedule, whatever y'all want to do. We can delay it till January for all I care. Okay, fantastic. My report's over then.
You going home now? Grab some cookies.
No, I said, who brought these cookies? And they said, Debbie did. And I said, well, I cussed her, but I had to have about 3. What was tomorrow? No, Christmas.
Okay, you have the city clerk's report, the business license for the month. Thank you, Judy. And city manager's report.
All right. I have a few things here I just want to discuss with you, and I'm still working on my calendar and my list, so it's coming. Hopefully 2023 brings new and better things. Like I'll reiterate our conversation about the police chief. You know, Mike's done a tremendous job. But in the interest of transparency, we did advertise the position, that and the deputy chief. And I think that both of those positions are outside the civil service requirements. So if we can find a licensed officer in West Virginia, we can hire them immediately for one or either of those spots. So we'll hopefully work through that here by the end of the month and get some people lined up for some interviews at the early beginning of January and get those positions filled. So that's, if you see that in the Democrat, that's why. Just wanted to bring you up to speed on that. You know, our day to day, we've just been super busy this month. It feels like we had the parade. I thought that was a great success for not only, I guess, us rookie parade managers, but the entire city and our staff. And I thought we put on a good show, and the community put on a good show. We had tremendous. At one point during the lineup, we had the entire track filled up with cars at the middle school, plus most of the parking lot filled with floats and other large parade participants. So that was good, and I think we've seen positive reactions to that. The bridge dedication, I spent about the last week trying to get all the folks lined up for that. And so I hope everybody shows up. I've been saying it's rain or shine, and I made contact with American Legion and VFW today. Also, I think the fire department's going to be there in some capacity. And I think there's some high school students that are going to be attending. Okay. He called me. Yeah, he called me today at 4:00. And I'll call him back this evening. So we've just been trying to get as many folks there as possible, and we've kind of mapped it up. I think we're going to hang some banners on the bridge, maybe our 4th of July decorations. We're going to dust those off, put them on the bridge, and we've got the signs in today. So we'll sweep it. Yep. I think so it's going to be another team effort, but I think we'll put on a good showing. Camera project, the equipment's come in from the cameras from not to us, but to the camera suppliers from Advanced Technologies. And so their first phase, they're booked up the rest of the month with the holidays and stuff like that. So they're targeting January 5th to start installing where we already have internet. So that'll be like city facilities and get those cameras installed and deploy the web system and all that stuff. And then Raven Rock side of it, they've ordered their equipment. We've made a down payment on that, and that stuff should be trickling in. Some things are on back order and things of that nature. So should be coming in here, and we'll get rocking on the other stuff.
Is that when we get the speakers and the music downtown?
That's still to come, but
Okay.
yes, I've had a few conversations about that, so it's on our radar. This past month we did get our push camera that we authorized. So we were able to locate a camera, no pun intended, that had a locator on it. It was a push camera to inspect like basement drains and things of that nature. So we had I think Miss Nastasha Hefner came in a few months ago to a meeting and we said we'd order a camera and check it out. So we got down there and we got about, I don't know, 20, 25 feet, right? And found a big root ball in the drain. And so at that point, our locator portion of the camera had been on back order. And so that came in today, Mike, just by the way. So we'll get down there and push it out again and locate it and give them a spot on the ground where they can dig and work on their own drain. So that's a handy tool to have, I think, for us. And it made, how many times did we sit down there scratching our heads, wondering what was going on? And with the right tool, in 20 minutes, we figured out what was part of the issue. So that was good. So we have that in our arsenal now. Let me see what else I want to talk about. Been to a couple sanitary board meetings. I think we're moving in the right direction there. I'm really excited about the things to come there. And then I guess without saying much more, the skating rink. I did my time sheet today and I've spent over 100 hours down there in some capacity working on that thing. And it wasn't just me, it was our entire team. We've had volunteer groups in, and so it was just something that it kind of grew into something I don't think we ever anticipated, but it was really good. And I think everything was pulled out today as far as what we had rented and stuff and taken back to Wheeling by the company. But I don't think we had a tag. I mean, we never got a tally on how many people actually skated or signed a waiver, did we? Yeah, we've got a whole milk crate full of waiver forms down there that were signed. We had, I think, nearly $3,000 come through, through donations, through snacks and people who skated, so I know over just this past weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, we had $1,600 or more generated through the skating rink. So just tremendous amounts of positive publicity. They say sometimes positive press, you can't put a number on it. I mean, we got $20,000 on it, but I felt like it was a pretty good experience for us. Shows we could do some things. So that was good. Hard work. I was glad to see it kind of go because I was tired of being down there every night, but I was just really proud of the community. People came down. We didn't have to run anybody off for fighting or anything like that. Yeah, it was just people hanging out, talking, and having a good time, watching their kids skate, watching their family members skate, trying something new. So hopefully we can do more things like that in the future for our community and have more positive things like that. And so with that, one last word, I'll just say, I thought this was my first time I made it to Miracle on Main since I've been back. And I got there right after the tornado of 2022 came through and everybody was picking up the pieces, but really good. I thought that people really turned out for it. And I think we're moving in the right direction. I say it almost every month, but I think our community is just getting more and more positive, and I'm proud to be a part of it and proud to be a part of this team.
Yes. Different energy.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Motion to accept all of the department reports. It's been moved in second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next, under old business, we have the ordinance reconfiguring and redefining the roles and purpose of the Weston City Tree Board. Where are we with that?
I think you guys have been included on a couple of emails,
Yeah.
but I
I
think
didn't think he was ready yet.
he's not. Get some feedback. The latest is I think we've got a quorum of people, and I'll use quorum because I think we've got more than 3 or 4 who want to be a part of some kind of tree board. And I think at this point they're owed a conversation to say, this is what it is. This is what it could be, all those things, and get together and see if that's what their interest truly lies in. And then my recommendation, I guess, at that point is if they want to be a tree board, let's have a tree board, and let's not pass this over to Code Appeals like we had passed in our first reading. Let's let these people be a bona fide tree board and see what they can make out of it. I think it's not every day you get citizen volunteers who want to do something and do something with a purpose. And so I think there's no reason in my mind for us to say no. And the first year may be a little challenging because there's not really a whole lot of funds for them, but we'll try to build something into the budget to give them some ammunition, for lack of a better word, to do some damage with and help out with trees.
What kind of funding would they need?
I don't know what, but I think, part of being a Tree City USA, there's some signage requirements. And I think that if we can have an Arbor Day ceremony of some sort, I don't know if that's, do they need $500 to be able to buy some saplings to pass out at Arbor Day? I don't know, I think it's kind of up to them to figure that out, but
So is it your recommendation to have the second reading of this ordinance?
no, I think we should table it indefinitely because I think really what's either going to happen is two things. We're going to either leave the existing ordinance alone and let them be the Western Tree Board, or they'll have their little get together and say this old ordinance doesn't really work for us either, and we'll have a different ordinance that gets appeal or modified and changed, and we'll bring that and probably have to have two readings on that to
Right.
move forward. But I think since they have some interest, let's give it a chance to play out, and we'll just table this indefinitely is my recommendation.
Questions, or is council ready to take action?
Mhm. I'll move to table indefinitely.
Second.
It's been moved and second to table indefinitely the ordinance reconfiguring and redefining the roles and purpose of the Weston City Tree Board. Any discussion? We'll have voting by roll call. Councilwoman Sherry Rogers,
Yes.
Councilman Randy Bowen,
Yes.
Councilwoman Debbie Dunn, Councilman Herb Craven. Motion carries. Next, under new business, ordinance 2022-13 for the city of Weston to acquire property at 451 West Second Street.
I think, right off the bat, I request a table with this. I wasn't able to get any particular ordinance or agreement together with the owners. So this is a property that that Weston would acquire in an attempt to utilize REAP grant money to tear a house down. And the REAP grant people, you don't necessarily have to own the property, but they kind of thought it would be a little bit smoother or better if the town owned the property. And so that's what we're trying to do here at 451 West Second is kind of get our feet wet and do at least one property before we send a buku bunches of property down to the REAP people to get reimbursed on or screw up our paperwork or whatever snafus we can work out in our first attempt. I think so, yes.
From what?
So your recommendation is to
Table this.
until our next regular meeting? Or
Yeah, I mean, if, I mean,
supposed to state when it's.
oh, I'm sorry. Okay. So we could probably stand to have maybe, well, I don't know. Do you all want to have a meeting between now and
You want to do
January?
indefinite again?
okay, do it in,
Indefinite. We can say indefinitely, right?
That means never.
or just do it to do it till the next regular meeting.
Okay. Is that good?
Is there a second? It's been moved in second to table ordinance 22-13 until the next regular council meeting. Any discussion? We'll have voting by roll call. Councilwoman Sherry Rogers,
Yes.
Councilman Randy Bowen,
Yes.
Councilwoman Debbie Dunn, Councilman Herb Curtis. Motion carries. Next, employee year-end incentives.
See, Andrew, I don't think I should weigh in on this too much, but I was just requested by our employees to bring that back to the table. In years past, they've had a year-end incentive that council's granted them. And I think that amount is completely up to you, and I'm not going to lobby for it because I think I'm affected by it. But I will just say that, in years past, the amount that's been given, I feel that our budget can handle it. I had that question today asked to me. The places that would struggle the most, I think, are departments that are single persons like myself, where if I didn't budget and put an extra $1,000 in the salary line, I may have to, not buy my 25 reams of paper at the end of the year to make sure that I can cover the shortfall that the incentive would cause. So, if push comes to shove, I'm sure we'll have some savings somewhere that we can move around and do a budget revision. But I think that we're fine with
What
most
was it
budgets.
last year?
If I remember correctly, it was $250. If I remember correct.
Yeah.
Nate indicated it was 250 last year.
Can I ask that that be also prorated for part-time employees? So they receive half of that.
State that as being a net amount.
I'll second.
Good luck, Joe.
Been moved and second, any discussion?
That's the.
We'll have voting by roll call. Councilwoman Sherry Rogers,
Yes.
Councilman Randy Bowen,
Yes.
Councilwoman Debbie Dunn, Councilman Hope Truman. Yes. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Next, city manager request for leave.
What do you
Want
do?
that table as well?
If you guys want to. As I made aware, I think at a special session a few months back, I've been working with Majura Water and Sewer Company from a distance through the Asian Development Bank as their technical advisor in my evenings. And so part of that stipulation was I was going to have to do some travel out there to assess their system. And so looking at our schedule, I've identified, I think from December 13th, which is the next Tuesday, until I think it's January 3rd. I return that day. I'll be a little bit late, but I'll jump off the plane and come into work. So that's what I'm looking for. I'll also be available via phone and email, I think through most of it, except for when I'm up in the fuselage somewhere. So per our handbook, any leave over 80 days or 80 hours is a city council kind of thing. What I'm proposing to do is I have about a week and a half worth of vacation time. And so my plan is to expend as much of that as possible and then request the rest of it to be unpaid leave if that's amenable to council.
Questions? Okay, would you like to make a motion?
How do you want that in the form of a motion?
To approve the request for leave from
Okay.
December.
From December 13th to January
3rd.
3rd. I'll move to approve that leave.
It's been moved and second to approve the requested leave from December 13th through January 3rd. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. And yeah, you're welcome. Yeah. I tried to go during Thanksgiving, but Susie would let me.
Additional paving expense.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
where do we start? I think everybody has a copy of the invoice from Parada Paving. $534,187.74. We've gone back and forth with Parada over the last couple of weeks since we've received this invoice in early November. I've been through all their tickets, found a discrepancy, replied back. Also brought up that we're getting charged $138 a ton and the bid award price was $113. And we've kind of reached an impasse. And I guess I should explain that one, whether we paid $113 or $138, we would still be over. And the reason being for that is that I think one, our streets were in such bad shape that it required more asphalt than maybe we anticipated. But also I think that they were pretty aggressive in putting more asphalt that I felt weren't necessarily necessary. But I think that's a challenge, especially for our staff and being a part of the first time doing a major paving operation like this. Your recourse in that situation is basically lay in front of the paver and say, stop paving. We're not doing this anymore. So, when we broached the subject, from my understanding, Parada Paving would say, you know, something to the effect of either we're going to put this amount down or we're not going to pave anymore. And we probably should have said, okay, pull your paver out and move forward. But I think for the sake of the project, we allowed things to continue. Didn't quite have a good enough handle on where we were from a tonnage perspective. And this is where we've ended up. Now, and feel free to stop me at any time and ask any questions. I'm still at an impasse with them because I felt like our contract was very specific when it came to our tonnage amount, which was 113, that was the bid price, and how we were to address price adjustments. So in our contract, we spoke to the Department of Highways asphalt price index for any kind of price adjustments or price increases or decreases, depending on the cost of petroleum and diesel fuel. Parada at the beginning of the project approached us and said, we're only going to do this for $138 a ton. And my response back to them was, I'm fine with $138 a ton if that's what the asphalt index says. And at that point, I didn't have the data to even know. I mean, then they're talking with the contractors, and I felt that our contract should cover us. Well, we've gotten to this point, and this is where we're at, and they refuse to negotiate or say, hey, yeah, we read the contract. They said, you know, we should if they would have known that they were going to be held to what they signed, they wouldn't have done it. I'm paraphrasing there, but that's essentially what I think is being communicated to us. So my feeling, and Brian and I have been back and forth on this a few times now, but my thought is that we pay them what we feel they're owed. And that's not to discount their tonnage or anything like that, but that's to pay them the adjusted pricing for the type of asphalt they laid down, which I have the tickets for that, and send them that payment and do that as soon as we can. And that comes out to about a net difference of $40,000. And so at that point, I think the ball would be in Parada's court to decide how they want to proceed. And I think we stand ready to deal with that. Now, let me add this. We've had a couple conversations with Department of Highways at various levels, and it seems like they kind of run under this operating maxim that they don't really pay much attention to the asphalt index anymore. And the contractor demands the money they pay them and steal from their next fiscal year to pay for this fiscal year. I don't understand how that works or why you have a contract at that point. And I do feel that, you know, I requested from Parada, that was included in the package, a letter from JF Allen that shows, you know, in February when they bid on this, wearing course was being sold to them for $70 a ton. And now in September, wearing course is $88 a ton. So that's a difference of $18, which added to the bid amount gets them $131 a ton. So I think there is some general, and that's over what the asphalt index is for Department of Highways. So when you do the asphalt index, it's about $11, $12 added, depending on the mix type and whether it's September or October, in addition to the $113. You can see that there's some real cost here that asphalt index is taking into account. So I don't
do business with them in the future, because if we go this route, we're probably done. And we know what happened last year with our contractor.
right. No,
Are we
I think you're
limited as to who, I'm not challenging you. I'm
No.
asking, are we limited as to paving contractors? And as you know, we don't have the best luck with contractors, and I don't think anyone does
I
in
think
this day and age.
paving's tough.
Any contractor, though, you know.
I spoke to JF Allen today to confirm, because there was no signature on this letterhead that I gave you, to make sure that was actual. And I got that confirmation from him today. If you take JF Allen, and I said, how do you guys use the asphalt index? I asked that question, and they said, well, for our contracts, we use it and they don't have any problem doing it. So I went back to our bid price and looked at what they bid and what they would have been adjusted to if they had held to the asphalt index, and it came out to $138.63. So one of my biggest problems with this is that I think this whole idea that you can bid on a project, get awarded for being the lowest bidder, then come in and say, I want more money, and try to say, well, the cost and stuff like that. We do it by the ton so that we don't have to worry about whether you're trucking it from here or there or any of these other maximums or business constraints, that's for you to determine. And that's why that tonnage price is there. And so if that doesn't work out for you, to me, that's sorry, that's you bid on this, right? That's something that I think that's understood as the risk of putting a number down when you bid on something. And I think that we definitely need to be more clear with them to say, this is the number you're going to get paid, and there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. But I don't think we can be much more clear than what we put in our contract either. So I don't know what I'm trying to say there, but I'm just trying to kind of fill in some of the gaps of thoughts I've had and said, no, I don't necessarily fear running them off and not being able to work with them in the future, because I feel, and it's just my feeling, but I feel like they've been kind of disingenuous with this through this process where they didn't read the contract. We had a conversation where multiple members of our staff was there, and I don't think they treated us very nicely, did they? And you can say no if you want to, or yes, or disagree with me, but yeah, it was that. And at times they made comments towards us that didn't have anything to do with what we were talking about. They're just derogatory in my estimation. So I'm not fearful of not working with them again. I'm not sure I would. I won't make any nasty recommendations. I
No,
think their work has
no.
been pretty well quality, but
Their work has been quality.
yeah.
I think that, and we made it clear too, that we wanted to, the citizens at the ARPA meeting wanted streets paved, and that's
Yep.
what we wanted to do. So,
Do you have a
Um,
comment, Councilman Bowen?
I do.
go ahead.
I'm under the impression that the bituminous asphalt business would be similar to the New York City trash and the New York City laundry. And I would say we probably ought to just bite the bullet and pay, because there's probably only 3 or 4 paving contractors in the state. And if the reputation comes down to where one's harder to deal with than the other, they're going to continue going other, and we're going to be without. I mean, it's not like an insurance company where there's 55,000 insurance companies you can pick from. I mean,
Sure.
we lost one last year in the process and didn't get anything paved, and you eliminate another one, and they talk to one of their competitors, and before you know it, we'll not find anybody to pave. I mean, I hate getting sabotaged like this, but I mean, you got to look for the future. Just take it as a learning process and move to the next one and make sure we have somebody when we want them, because it's nice to have them paved, right, Debbie?
That's a conversation. I think that how much do we want to spend on a conflict, right? And I think that $40,000 we know adds up pretty quickly when it comes to lawyer fees and things of that nature too. And so
Mhm.
I think that
Say pay it and move on and hope for learning and better things next year or year after. Maybe we won't pave next year.
at that rate we're going to struggle too.
We paved a lot this year, more than they did in probably the last 20 years. So
These streets haven't been paved in 35 or 40 years, a lot of them. Yep, you're right.
Let me just add, if we do pay this,
That was on the list before.
you've also, I think, got a budget revision in your packet. We would technically need,
Oh, wait. At my house?
no, you're fine. Yeah, if we did pay the full amount or any amount over, we're going to have to revise our budget. And as I spoke earlier, this would be a wonderful time to go to the ARPA and say, let's use that ARPA money and pay this overage. But I think if we go to that route, we're going to end up triggering our single line audit, the amount of money we spent this year from ARPA. So my feeling is let's not do that. Mike and I sat down today and kind of discussed options. Feeling like we could do something there for the repair of Mid Avenue slip. Our feeling is Mid Avenue hasn't moved one iota since we've fixed it and ditched it out. And so what I'm proposing is to decrease that line item by $80,000, leave $10,000 in there to see if we can get a guardrail contractor in there to install some guardrail so we can remove those orange barriers. And also take away $30,000 from his street equipment line that we had $45,000 budgeted for a new truck. We felt like we can make it through. And so that would give us $110,000, which our overage, I think, was 107 compared to all the previous funds we'd authorized. And so that we would cover the overage through our general fund money. And then prevent ourselves from save our ARPA for another day. So that's my feeling and my proposal.
The funding stipulation about the audit, that what's triggering, is that a calendar year or a fiscal year?
Fiscal year, and I think Joseph looked up the federal rules today for that. And our assumption, our understanding is that July 1, we get to start the clock over again. So
July 1, we can spend our funding for things, the street department. If we're taking,
To talk a little louder, I can't hear
so,
with,
yeah.
Yep.
So July 1 is when the ARPA funding starts, well, when we can start
yeah,
spending
we get
again.
reset in our,
Right,
Yep.
exactly. So if we're making this adjustment to the budget at the street department now, can we essentially replace that money with works and things that they need with our ARPA July 1?
I think so. That's it's one of the thoughts with like Mid Avenue, right? If we take that out of the budget now, that's something I think we could use ARPA for very easily come July 1 and have a project ready there. Or if we need some equipment, I think we've shown that we can use ARPA money to do that. So yes,
Right.
yes will be the answer.
Yes, that we can.
I'll entertain a motion on the.
Yep. Joseph, you want to speak to it a little bit? You might do better justice.
First, you know, they talked about $25,000. So this is in addition to the regular financial statement audit that we normally have. You also have to have a single line audit. It would also be certified CPA company. And then they come in and it's different than a financial statement audit. So we're looking at the single expenditure related to the federal dollars. And looking at the way to report it and the way to report it. And then what I have seen, I've never been through a single line audit, but I've worked with nonprofits and agencies and other things that have them. And usually where they run into problems is they find out through the audit process that there were rules for expenditures that they didn't know. So, you know, you never knew that the federal government had a rule about putting roofs on libraries and just put roofs on libraries to find out that there were libraries and museums commission. So folks just find out that there wild things didn't exist. And so it's usually folks try to avoid the thing like all the ones that they're expected. And then two, because it's just a nightmare of the federal regulations. Bureaucracy, right? That bureaucracy, right?
They don't give you the rules until after you've played the game, right?
Right. Well, the rules were this thick.
So how would council like to address the additional paving expense?
So I have one more question.
Sure.
So who would buy the budget at all? Using any type of money, how close are we before we get one of those?
If our calculations were correct, we've got about $50,000 of wiggle room right now before we hit that federal dollar threshold. It's I just felt, I mean, we could, it's up to you all, but yeah, no, I'm sorry. And I wasn't trying to hide it from you or anything. I just felt this was the best way because I don't know, like with all these other projects coming down the pike, do we need to change the funds amounts for those? You know, if we come in and our camera project needs $10,000 more and we're already spending that out of ARPA, want to give us some wiggle room. Plus that $50,000 window also includes Marty's projects, right? That federal dollar amount. So I was trying to save a little bit of wiggle room there where he could at least get one house torn down and go through the process before July 1, because he's only got 12 months to spend that money. So that was my reasoning. Sorry. And if we have a sewer main blow up somewhere and we need some dollars to do that, you kind of want to have that ability to do something of that nature.
I'm not good at making motions, but I'm good at seconding them.
Councilwoman Rogers.
Am I just moving to approve this? Yes, I move to approve the Verada paving invoice for $534,187.74. And with a budget revision.
There a second?
That's right.
You don't like the way I stated it?
No,
What is wrong with you? I cannot believe you said that.
well,
What should I have said?
where the money's coming from exactly.
Okay.
Streets.
That way we'll have it in,
With the overage to be covered from the general fund.
With the
Via the-
overage to be covered
yeah,
from the general
Yeah,
fund.
via the budget revision.
I'm ready now to second it.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? We'll have voting by roll call. Councilwoman Sherry Rogers,
Yes.
Councilwoman Randy Bowen,
Yes.
Councilwoman Debbie Dunn. Councilwoman Kirk. Motion carries. Okay,
Should've done it
next we'll
myself,
move
shouldn't
on
I?
to
You should have.
reports of city council.
Oh, that's us.
Go ahead.
Well, first of all, I'd like to thank you for the dinner, the Christmas dinner. Mayor Edwards, it was a lovely evening. It was a nice evening to come together and just visit with everyone without working. It was very nice. I wanted to thank everyone for the skating rink. I know that a lot of people put in a lot of hours. The street department put in a lot of hours at the skating rink. I know that the police department spent some hours there patrolling as well. Fire department also spent some time there. Marty, Brian, Nate spent a lot of time there. Every employee, Susie and Judy, but also the organizations who kicked in. It was truly a community effort. It was a very positive atmosphere. Everyone really enjoyed it. And I think they enjoyed working it as well. Also, a big thank you to Parks and Recreation. They spent a lot of time there. But also our sponsors, WVU Jackson's Mill, for the use of the bleachers. Holden and Sons for the use of the shed. Chantel, and also Lewis County First. And some private donations. Larry Snyder Construction, exactly. Thank you. It's difficult when you start naming out people, but I think that that speaks to the community effort that we put forward. It also speaks with the Christmas parade and the outpouring of the community. I think that there's just a breath of fresh air and everyone is kicking in and doing their part and working together. And that means the community as well. I think the community can see results. They have better attitudes. They see that we're working to improve the quality of life for our residents, and I think they appreciate it. Once again, I want to thank each department for all of the progress that we have made this year. We can see the progress and the results, and I appreciate it. Thank you.
Strange as it may seem, I'm going to speak of the holidays. Yeah. I had three different people from three different towns over the past few weeks spoke about the improvements in Weston to me, about the cleanliness of the streets, the paving, the lights, the activities. And the one of the people that I spoke with said that they just considered that Weston was the most Christmassy town in West Virginia this year in their mind. And they'd been traveling around from town to town doing things. So I've been hanging out with people other than the regular dredges I hang out with at the garage. And the Christmas party was very nice. Thank you. But yeah, I got away from the old track people and, and all that kind of stuff. And I got around some regular people and we talked about other things. Thank you.
Ward 3.
First of all, I'd also like to thank you, Mayor, for the wonderful dinner that you hosted Friday. It was really nice seeing everybody in a nice venue, seeing what the Hardmans have done to that house and the improvement they have brought to the community. It was just amazing. Seeing everybody kind of all dressed up. It was, nice and good food, good fellowship mainly.
Your husband too, and his time.
Besides, yeah, my husband was in a tie. I didn't like it. But when I was driving here tonight, I'm going to kind of echo Councilman Bowen a little bit. When I was driving here, coming south down Main, and it's kind of dusk, and those snowflakes are just dancing, and that's an amazing sight. And that's not a sight you're going to see in any other town in America. We're exclusive to these dancing snowflakes, and it's just in the town and the lights and the Christmas trees all lit up now. It just puts you in a holiday spirit. So, again, I would like to echo everybody's sentiments on the staff, their hard work, the community people, the event of Saturday, even though we had the Main Street Tornado of 2022. The event did go on to be very successful. And I would like to, maybe next year the city work a little bit with that committee and bring in a little bit more things to that. So I have a feeling that could be something new for Christmas now, USA, right? So with that, I'd like to wish everybody a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And thank you to our city attorney for not making us move and getting screwed for the holidays.
I'd just like to add, he tried. He tried.
It was his cookies
Yeah.
that changed his mind.
Yeah. Right. Yep. I just like to thank the mayor as well for the nice Christmas party that was held, and like to say as well that the Hardmans have done a terrific job with the house there. Wow. Just, pulling everything together and getting it back to its roots to where it was as it was built pretty much. And, just like to thank the city employees for all they're doing, and everybody that pitched in with the city manager and all for the skating rink. It was a good idea. I've heard a lot of compliments on it as well. And, my wife and I drive up and down some of these streets and in the last week or two, and things are looking a lot better, cleaner, and they just look more structured, and you can tell more people's getting involved as far as helping out, and rather they're redoing a house or just cleaning up whatever, around their places, everything's looking a lot better. So appreciate everybody. Thank you very much. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. I move to adjourn.
There a second? All in favor, say aye. Motion carries. Meeting adjourned. I think this is a record.